Have you ever noticed how those who thrive on manipulation seem to unravel when they can't break through your strength? They've spent their life perfecting the art of control, manipulating emotions like pawns on a chessboard. But then you happened. You. With your unshakable presence and refusal to play by their rules, suddenly the player is no longer in control. They're not used to this. The vulnerability, the confusion, the realization that their usual tricks crumble against your authenticity. You don't chase, you don't fall for the bait. Instead, you stand firm, forcing them to confront the one thing they've spent their life avoiding, their own feelings. Now, the tables have turned. The one who never cared now can't stop thinking about you. You're not just a person to them. You're a mirror reflecting every insecurity they tried to bury. You've done the impossible. You've got the emotionally unavailable player questioning everything, and they have no idea how to handle it. Their behavior follows predictable yet destructive patterns. They often lure others into their orbit with promises that sparkle with possibility, offering what seems to be a safe harbor or an exciting adventure. These promises, however, are hollow, designed to create dependency. They craft scenarios where their targets feel special, chosen, or uniquely seen, only to exploit that vulnerability to feed their ego. They orchestrate their influence like a symphony, playing on emotions with calculated precision. Once their control is established, their behavior shifts. They withdraw affection, attention, or support, leaving their targets adrift in a sea of confusion and self-doubt. They revel in this dynamic, for it solidifies their power. The more their target seeks to understand or mend the situation, the more power they believe they hold. The cycle is deliberate, a game of push and pull designed to erode the confidence of others while bolstering their own dominance. What they fear most is exposure. The truth is their greatest adversary because it dismantles the carefully constructed facade they depend on. They are masters of deflection, redirecting attention away from their flaws by projecting them onto others. They gaslight, distort reality, and sow doubt to keep their targets off balance. When confronted, they react with outrage, denial, or calculated charm to disarm their accuser. Ultimately, manipulative individuals are trapped in a cycle of their own making. Their need for control isolates them, preventing genuine connection and growth. They're like shadows, thriving only in the absence of light. When you shine the light of truth and resilience on their behavior, their power crumbles. Their attempts at manipulation become futile in the face of unwavering self-awareness and strength. By recognizing their patterns and refusing to engage, you render their strategies powerless, exposing the emptiness behind their facade. They are drawn to you, not for who you are, but for what your energy represents. A mirror they cannot escape, a reflection so unyielding it forces them to confront the hollowness within themselves. Your refusal to participate in their games of deception strikes them like a lightning bolt. They are used to puppeteering, pulling the strings of others' emotions and watching as confusion and dependency unfold. But you sever their threads with a blade of discernment sharper than any weapon they've encountered. Their charm, their calculated vulnerability, their feigned intimacy, all their tools of control crumble in the face of your unwavering truth. Let me hear you say, "I'm unshakable," in the comments below if you're done with their games and standing tall. This disarmament leaves them exposed. Stripped of their usual power, they are forced to confront the abyss they have long hidden behind masks of confidence and control. This is not a simple discomfort. It is an ego death, a destruction of the identity they have painstakingly crafted to protect themselves from the truth. Your resistance to their manipulation does not merely bruise their ego, it annihilates it, dismantling the fortress of lies they've constructed around their insecurities. They spiral, lost in the void of their own reflection, unable to blame or project their flaws onto you. You become an immovable wall against which their illusions collide, each impact shattering the false narratives they have built. They are left with nothing but the jagged pieces of their own insecurities, forced to see themselves as they truly are, without the adoration or control they so desperately crave. You do not retaliate with force, but with stillness. Your refusal to engage in their chaos is a weapon more powerful than any attack. It denies them the fuel they need to sustain their games, leaving them to suffocate in the vacuum of your indifference. This silence is not an absence of action, it is an unyielding assertion of your power. In your stillness, they are forced to grapple with the realization that their manipulation has no power over someone who sees through it. Your presence is a force they cannot withstand, an immovable mountain rising against their carefully orchestrated schemes. You are not simply resistant to manipulation, you are its antithesis. When they attempt to exert their control over you, their efforts collapse under the weight of your unyielding clarity. Their tactics, polished and effective against others, splinter like brittle stone against the unshakable foundation of your awareness. This failure is not something they can accept easily, and it drives them into a spiral of emotional disorientation. Alert! We've got a code red Archon meltdown on our hands. Somewhere a shadowy overlord just spilled its overpriced oat milk latte, because you are dangerously close to breaking free. Over at the Obsidian Inner Order, chosen ones are turning the Matrix into a punchline. Picture this: weekly group calls where you rub cosmic elbows with others who've seen some serious archonic nonsense and walked away laughing. Oh, and the universe is your ATM machine exclusive video. It's so raw, so forbidden, YouTube would faint if it saw it. But wait, Star Chamber slots, limited. Like for real, this isn't Costco where you can grab a 36-pack. We're talking VIP access to modern manifestation mechanics, dark secrets about bending reality, and, brace yourself, interviews with chosen ones who've stared into the abyss of the darkest Archons and lived to spill the tea. So go ahead, keep scrolling and let the Archons win, or join us and send their fragile egos into a tailspin. Your choice, legend. The link to the Obsidian Inner Order is in the description. Manipulative forces are accustomed to shaping the world around them to their will. They thrive on the predictability of human vulnerability, the ease with which they can mold others' fears and desires into tools for their own gain. But when they meet you, they encounter a boundary they cannot penetrate. Your presence becomes a mirror they did not anticipate, reflecting back every flaw and weakness they seek to hide. Their charm, their strategies, their control, everything they rely on, crumbles when faced with your unwavering truth, and in that moment of failure, they are stripped of their illusion of power. This disarmament triggers a reaction within them that is both visceral and consuming. They are not used to feeling powerless. It is an alien sensation, one that gnaws at their core. They become fixated on you, unable to let go of the fact that you stand as an exception to their carefully constructed world. You are a challenge they cannot overcome, and this realization drives them to obsess. Their focus narrows, and they abandon other pursuits, pouring their energy into deciphering how to reclaim the control they have lost. But every attempt only deepens their disarray, as your refusal to play their games leaves them floundering. Their fixation is not born of admiration, but of desperation. They are trapped in a cycle of trying to win against you, as though your resistance is an affront to their very existence. They cannot understand how you remain impervious to their manipulations, and this confusion feeds their obsession. Their identity, built upon their ability to dominate and control, begins to fracture under the strain. They scramble to regain footing, employing every tool in their arsenal: charm, guilt, intimidation, but their efforts are met with the same unyielding response. Your strength becomes an impenetrable fortress, and they are left banging at its gates, growing more frantic with every failure. In your presence they feel disarmed, vulnerable, in a way they have never allowed themselves to be. Their power was always external, drawn from the reactions and dependencies of others. But you offer them no such foothold. You do not react in the ways they expect. You do not crumble under their pressure or bend to their will. This lack of control over you exposes their inner void, the emptiness they have tried to mask with their manipulative games. Without the ability to dominate, they are forced to confront the reality that their power was never real. It was a borrowed strength, dependent on the submission of others. This revelation is devastating to them. It leaves them grasping for a sense of self that no longer feels solid. They may lash out, their anger a desperate attempt to reassert control, but even their rage is hollow in your presence. It bounces back at them, amplified by the stillness of your resistance. Every tactic they employ only serves to further unravel their carefully constructed identity. They are left in turmoil, their obsession with you consuming their thoughts and their energy, yet yielding nothing in return. And you, standing firm in your authenticity, remain untouched. Their fixation on you is their own undoing, a fire they have ignited within themselves. Your strength is not diminished by their desperation. It grows. If you're with me here and feeling the power of your light, write "Truth prevails" in the comments. They, on the other hand, are left to reckon with the collapse of their illusion, the emptiness of their power, and the truth that no amount of manipulation can break what is divinely fortified. You possess a strength that dismantles deception with the precision of a lightning strike. Your intuition is not merely a sense but a force, cutting through layers of pretense like a blade forged in truth. Manipulative forces approach you, armed with their charm and strategies, expecting to ensnare you as they have done to others. But you, the chosen ones, are different. You see not with your eyes but with a clarity that burns through illusions, reducing their facades to smoldering embers. Their masks, painstakingly crafted to deceive, crumble under the heat of your discernment. Your emotional intelligence is a fortress, impenetrable by the usual games that thrive on confusion and fear. They seek to twist emotions, to weave a web of control through subtle manipulations, but you do not step into their trap. Instead, you dismantle it before it can form, rendering their efforts meaningless. You recognize their patterns for what they are, hollow attempts to fill their own voids by siphoning energy from others. Their charm is a flickering candle next to the inferno of your authenticity. You are drawn not to the surface-level glow of appearances, but to the core of energy and truth beneath. And when there is nothing authentic to find, you simply walk away, leaving them floundering in your absence. Your presence becomes their undoing. They are used to operating undetected, their manipulations subtle and their control almost imperceptible, but you see them. You expose the strings they pull, the tactics they deploy, and the lies they spin. This exposure is like a spotlight that burns too brightly, leaving them no shadows to retreat into. When their charm fails to enchant you, when their games fall flat, they are left scrambling, unsure of how to proceed. Your refusal to play by their rules strips them of the power they believe they hold, reducing their confidence to dust. You do not need to confront them outright. Your truth does the work for you. By staying aligned with your values and intuition, you force them into an uncomfortable realization. Their manipulative tendencies cannot thrive in the presence of someone who will not bend. They are like waves crashing against a cliff, relentless yet ultimately powerless to erode your foundation. They may try harder, pushing their strategies to the brink, but every attempt only highlights their desperation. Their actions become erratic, their composure unraveling as they grasp for control that you will not relinquish. This encounter leaves them unmoored. They are used to crafting realities where they dictate the narrative, but with you, they lose their footing. Their charm, their calculated vulnerability, their veiled threats, all are rendered useless. Your unwavering authenticity acts as a mirror, reflecting their manipulation back at them with unrelenting clarity. They are forced to confront the truth. They are powerless against someone who cannot be deceived. This realization is not just unsettling for them, it is devastating. Their identity, built on their ability to dominate and control, begins to fracture under the weight of your refusal to submit. Their usual tactics, which once seemed like unshakable pillars of strength, crumble like sandcastles before the tide. You do not argue, you do not engage, and yet you disarm them completely. Your strength is not in loudness or aggression, but in your quiet, resolute adherence to truth. In your presence, they are forced to see the futility of their games. They cannot charm someone who values depth over facade, nor can they control someone who stands rooted in their own power. You remain untouched, your intuition and discernment acting as an impenetrable shield. They are left in disarray, their manipulative tendencies exposed and ineffective. You are the immovable force they cannot manipulate, the clarity that shatters their illusions, and the authenticity that leaves them powerless. By staying true to yourself, you do not merely survive their games. You dismantle them entirely, leaving nothing for them to cling to but the ruins of their failed attempts. Your presence is a force of reckoning, an undeniable truth that disrupts the fragile foundations manipulators depend on. Their confidence, carefully constructed and meticulously polished, begins to crack under the pressure of your authenticity. Their manipulative patterns, honed through repetition and success, falter in the face of your unshakable clarity. You are not a participant in their games, but a mirror, reflecting their true nature with a brilliance that blinds and disorients them. Manipulators thrive on control, on the ability to shape reality around their desires. But when they encounter you, their power slips through their fingers like water through a sieve. You do not bend to their tactics. You do not respond with the compliance they expect. This disrupts their equilibrium, leaving them scrambling to regain the upper hand. They are forced to confront an unfamiliar sensation, powerlessness. It is a feeling that claws at them, unearthing insecurities they have long buried beneath layers of deception. Your resistance is not loud or combative. It is a quiet, unyielding presence that cannot be swayed. This stillness acts as a storm in their psyche, dismantling their strategies from within. Every move they make is met not with reaction, but with an absence of vulnerability, a wall of self-awareness they cannot penetrate. They begin to second-guess themselves, questioning the tools they have relied on for so long. Their charm feels hollow, their manipulation ineffective. The certainty they once carried, the belief in their ability to control others, erodes with every moment they spend in your presence. For some, this encounter becomes a turning point. Stripped of their illusions, they are forced to confront the darkness within themselves. Your unrelenting truth acts as a catalyst, igniting a transformation they never anticipated. They may feel anger, confusion, or despair, but beneath these emotions lies a spark of potential, a chance to change. They are faced with a choice: to continue down their path of manipulation, now exposed and less effective, or to confront their flaws and seek a different way of being. Not all will choose transformation, but the option is laid bare before them, undeniable and unrelenting. Even for those who resist change, your presence leaves an indelible mark. The patterns they once relied on no longer work as seamlessly as they did before. The certainty with which they wielded their manipulation is gone, replaced by a lingering doubt that eats away at their confidence. You have disrupted their rhythm, dismantling the predictability they depended on to thrive. They may attempt to return to their old ways, but the cracks in their facade remain, reminders of the power they encountered but could not overcome. This disruption is permanent. You have exposed them to a truth they cannot unsee, a reality in which their manipulation is not invincible. They carry the weight of this encounter, whether they acknowledge it or not. It haunts their future interactions, a shadow of their failure to control you. They may try to replicate their old patterns, but the memory of your resistance lingers, undermining their efforts. Your impact is a ripple that spreads far beyond the moment, reshaping the way they engage with others. And for you, the chosen ones, this encounter is a reaffirmation of your strength. You do not seek to dismantle their illusions. Your authenticity does it naturally. You are not consumed by their chaos. You remain steadfast, rooted in a truth they cannot tarnish. Their transformation, or lack thereof, is not your burden to bear. Your role is not to fix them, but to be the light that exposes the darkness, the force that disrupts their illusions, and the presence that renders manipulation powerless. You walk forward untouched, leaving behind a legacy of disrupted patterns and shattered illusions, a testament to the power of unyielding authenticity. Chosen ones, your energy is an unrelenting force, a storm that dismantles the fragile constructs of manipulation and deceit. You do not merely exist. You redefine the dynamics of every interaction, forcing those around you to confront truths they cannot escape. Your clarity is a beacon that exposes the shadows, your strength a reminder that not all can be controlled or subdued. Those who attempt to deceive you find themselves unmoored, their games unraveled by the unwavering light you carry. Your strength is not accidental. It is cultivated, divinely protected, and rooted in the essence of who you are. Every step you take, every act of discernment, reinforces your position as a force that cannot be swayed or diminished. You are not just immune to harm. You actively disrupt the cycles of control, leaving a ripple of transformation in your wake. Some will rise from this disruption, seeking change and growth. Others will falter, unable to face what your presence reveals. Yet you remain steadfast, untouched by their turmoil, guided by a power far greater than their schemes. Trust in your ability to see through the illusions cast before you. Subscribe to Astral Atom now if you're ready to see the truth. Stand in your power and let no darkness dim your light. Know that your energy is not only your shield, but also your gift to the world, a light that inspires others to rise above fear and manipulation. Your presence is a declaration that truth prevails, that authenticity shatters deception, and that no force of darkness can withstand the radiance of your soul. Continue to walk your path with confidence, understanding that your impact is far-reaching, even when unseen. Now is the time to let your voice echo further. Share your stories of resilience and triumph, of the manipulations you have unraveled, and the strength you have found. Your truth is not only yours to hold, it is a light that others need to see. Speak boldly, for your experiences hold the power to inspire and awaken those who may still be searching for their own strength. Let the world feel the impact of your unwavering presence, for in sharing your truth, you amplify the light that no darkness can extinguish.